My employer is dying. He wants to thank you for saving his life all those years ago. It's an honor to meet the Wolverine.
That's not who I am anymore.
After the war, the Yashida family business became Japan's largest. He made advances that have saved millions of lives.
I want to offer you a gift, Logan. You have struggled long enough. Your ability to heal can be passed to another. Allow someone else to shoulder your burden. Logan, son, I can make you mortal. Trust me, Bob. You don't want what I've got. I'm not ready to die.
Wolverine is back, and I tell you what, I have never been happy to see him. I'm so happy to see the real Wolverine, because we just coming back from Comic-Con.
True.
And I saw so many busted ass Wolverines over there. I must have saw about 10 Wolverines in a row, and not now one of them look like Wolverine.
That costume has become like the Crow costume, where you want to tell next time you have a Halloween party, you want to put on the invite, nobody dress up as the Wolverine, or you will not be admitted to my party.
Well, the funny thing is, you get that occasional guy who's got that wife beater, which is the classic outfit like to wear there, who actually owns it because he's a big muscular motherfucker.
And he beats his wife.
Yeah, and he actually beats his wife. You're like, yeah, Wolverine would beat his wife.
One guy just showed up with no costume, no haircut, nothing, just butter knives, man. That's it.
And walking around like, look how clever I am.
Yeah.
I was like, where's your toaster at, dude?
and I hate it because they all sit around, when they're by themselves, they're not even doing it. They're like homeless people. They just muttering, hey, bub, 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 hey, bub, bub.
Yeah. Do we really need the guy back? Haven't we already had enough films? What more could they possibly tell about the Wolverine story that we don't already know?
I mean, this is the 6th or 7th X-Men film? 6th or 7th?
Technically.
Sure.
Yeah, 6.
X1, 2, 3, Wolverine Origins, Days of Future Past, and...
don't count that.
No,
First Class.
First Class and this.
Yeah, 6,
right? So
6
films.
X-Men related film.
Yeah, and to answer your question, you do need another Wolverine movie because Wolverine's got something to prove now. I mean, they made my man look bad in that last movie, you know?
He's got to come back to apologize for that last piece.
That wasn't the only movie that made him look bad. I thought X-Men 3 did a pretty good job of that, too.
Well, now, to be fair, co-host, X-Men...
No, I'm not here to be fair.
Have you met co-host?
X3 is just bad across the board, and Wolverine was in there trying to do the best he could.
Yeah, that's true, man. I mean, I always thought if anybody was trying hard, Wolverine was the one. He was really trying to make something out of it. Even out of, what was it, Wolverine Origin, whatever that last movie was.
Right. It's like he had no clue he was in one of the worst superhero movies ever made. He was trying.
He's the only one acting his ass off trying to do something. Everybody else is just like, whatever, man.
And that guy Hugh Jackman's like, I'll keep playing Wolverine as long as you keep asking me to. I'm going to be working out like a motherfucker to make sure you keep asking me.
Yeah, well, don't make another X-Men Origin.
Yeah.
Or ain't anybody gonna be asking no more.
Yeah.
I heard something funny, and I want somebody to tell me if this is true. They said for Hugh Jackman to play Wolverine, he had to put on so much muscle and eat so much protein that he had to wake up at 2 a.m. to go eat a whole chicken.
Jeez.
And he was.
I'll do that.
Yeah, well, you do that.
Well, you do that anyway.
Yeah, that's your exercise regimen right there.
You ain't getting ready for no X-Men movie.
I'll be Wolverine.
You're getting ready to see the X-Men movie, not so much be
Exactly. But the reps for you is like putting the drumstick to your mouth, putting it back down. Back to your mouth, putting it back down.
I'm sorry, what else did he have to do?
But they said he was. See, that's why I wonder how much he enjoys doing this because. From this person I heard this from, they read that while he was eating that chicken, he just was sweating because he didn't want to do it. I mean, it was like he would have to eat a whole chicken and he would just be so full and then he'd have to wake up and eat a big breakfast and all that. And he said every time he was eting, it was like torture almost.
Yeah, if you have to
Well,
now, if you have to do that.
I have to eat for a living.
I don't know about you.
Where's my violin?
I don't know about you,
on it.
but when I go to the buffet, the last thing I want to do is go to the gym right now. That's what he had to do.
You can barely make it to your car, let alone the gym.
But you know what, man? He's got to do that because if it wasn't for the Wolverine, we wouldn't know who Hugh Jackman was. He'd be that song and dance man that would show up at your high school and try to get you to join the Glee Club.
Well, I was like, well, I figure what else is he going to do? He doesn't have a normal job. I mean, this is his job to get in front of a camera every one or 2 years.
Right. I mean, you go like, oh, hey, he's a song and dance man. He say, yeah, but I'm also a Wolverine man, and I like collect those big ass checks.
And he makes a point in this movie of letting you know he's the Wolverine by flat out saying, I'm the Wolverine.
Right, he used to just be Wolverine, but now he's like, no, I'm the Wolverine.
Like,
I can't handle no backdoor Mexican flea market Wolverines coming up here.
Include that "the" in the title.
I like that. You're right. Because if he wasn't Wolverine, he'd be skinny, be on some cheap ass stage talking about hello, fresco. You know, somebody want to hear that?
He'd be the Cub.
Cut something, goddammit. I don't mean cut a rug.
Oh, man.
But now, to get into the movie, I didn't see it, unfortunately. Speaking of Comic-Con, I was flying back, and it was at the same time they had the screening. But I really want to see this because
we're professionals, so we flew back.
Oh, the hell with you, man! Damn, I'm professional too.
Yeah. Corey was awesome enough to give us an early flight back.
Yeah.
You guys soaking up this perfect weather and beach in San Diego? Well, too bad.
Yeah.
I'm sending you back to Austin to get to work.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
I'm a professional lounger. I was lounging on the beach while y'all were gone. But man, if anybody needs to see this movie, it was me. Because everybody makes a big deal about Wolverine being in Japan. I'm like, what the hell is he doing in Japan? Is he cutting sushi rolls with his adamantium claws?
The answer is yes, Corey.
It's a very loose adaptation of one of the most famous Wolverine stories.
Yeah.
This comic came out. It's
in the early 80s, right?
I did a little bit
early 80s.
I did a little bit of research. It was 1982, I believe.
Well, there we go.
God
Early-
damn.
Yeah, Chris Claremont and Frank Miller are the ones that produced this series. It was simply called The Wolverine.
Which is funny because everyone thinks of Frank Miller as both an artist, but more importantly as a writer, which is sad because he's a better artist.
He's famous for the story, even though he only drew it. Chris Claremont wrote it.
He drew it, the 4-issue miniseries Wolverine back in the days when the X-Men were becoming to comic fans the dominant force in comic. Claremont is the guy who made the X-Men as we know them today.
Right.
Like it wasn't that early ass X-Men with Iceman who looks like like Frosty the Snowman.
It wasn't the Stan Lee X-Men, and it wasn't the Jim Lee X-Men. The Chris Claremont X-Men, those, almost every story you see in the cartoons and the movies, it's all adapted from that period.
And almost all these movies come out of this. And this was the thing, this 4-issue miniseries that made everyone go, what?
It's kind of like a Wolverine origin story in as much as it takes place before he joined the X-Men. At least they flash back to like the time he spent in Japan.
So they fucked this one all up, right? As far as the story
They go back to when he was in Japan before, and he's like, listen, I got to go back and take care of some shit.
And that's a nice touch because we already know through everything else that, like, in X-Men Origins Wolverine, that he's been around for a long, long time. And we start off with seeing him during World War II, right there at Nagasaki when the fucking bomb drops. And he saves a soldier who's willing to let him out, like, of a prison he's in. I don't know why he's in the prison. Oh, no, that's right, because he only has bone claws at that point.
Yeah.
Because it's pre-Weapon X. He doesn't have adamantium yet. But this guy comes up, and is like, I'm going to save you. Wolverine saves him after the fact from the atom bomb. Flash to years and years and years and years later, Wolverine's a caveman living in cold place.
He's Jean Valjean, running around in the woods.
He really is.
Yeah, he looks exactly like
He did a Les Miserables.
Yeah, he just got off the set of Les Mis at the very beginning of that first day of shooting. Yeah. You can tell the guy's somewhat tortured and tormented from the events of X-Men 3 because when we catch up with him at that point, this is all after the X-Men 3 travesty that happened. Yeah. So he's dealing with all those demons apparently.
I'm not sure if he's more upset about killing Jean Grey or just how bad X3 came out.
Yeah, I think it's both.
But he's called back to Japan because that soldier he saved became a big Japanese industrialist, and now he's about to die. He's on his deathbed, but he has sent somebody's like, bring me back the Wolverine. It's just, and Yuriko, she comes and says like, Yoshida, he wants to see you. He was always impressed with you. And he has something to give you.
And he's dying.
He's dying. He wants to see you before he dies.
This sword is hundreds of years old. It was named Danzan by the first samurai who used it. Danzan means separator in Japanese. The ideal weapon for separating head and limb from body. Like so. And packed him back.
He's like, fuck, all right, I'll go for one day. And Yoshida says, listen, I'm dying, but you've been living forever. You tired of it? I know you are. I want to do you a favor. You do me a favor. I have a way to take your healing power so you can die and I can live. Let's do that.
I know. It seems like a good idea to him at the time. He didn't expect the fact that Wolverine's going to go like, what are you fucking out of your goddamn mind?
Yeah, he's like, on one hand, I'm tired of living for so long, but No thanks.
The thing that he's walked into, this political thing, because this guy is the richest guy in Japan. He is a mega millionaire.
He's a Tony Stark of Japan.
He is.
He's ridiculously rich. And when he dies after Wolverine says, well, I don't think so, he's left out his son, who's like the big, like, yuppie Japanese guy. I'm going to get all this shit. I'm going to be badass.
You know how he's going to be an asshole Japanese guy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's that guy.
He's that guy.
He's that guy.
His son
and
is
leaves
that guy.
it to his daughter, Mariko, who's like, I don't even want this shit. The problem is the moment that happens, everybody wants to kill her.
The Yakuza want to kill her. These ninjas come out of nowhere. They want to kill her. And Wolverine's like, I got to protect this girl from all these guys who want to kill her.
What you're saying is Wolverine's Japan. He's got to protect a fine ass Japanese chick.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it right there. That's what I like.
There you go.
And without getting into the plot of it, they're trying to introduce other side characters in the books. Like, what's her name? Not Venom,
Viper.
Viper is a major part of this. Shame they couldn't get a better actress to play her.
Oh, I liked her fine.
Did you? I
thought she was okay.
But where Viper is like this person who put venom into anyone, and it becomes clear early on that she's put something into Wolverine that has taken away, not completely, but for the better part, his healing factor.
Yeah. And it's him dealing with the fact that, like, okay, I'm used to just running through a hail of bullets and going, fuck it, because I know I'm going to heal. And now these things hurt.
He's like, ow!
Yeah, this time he's going, ouch. Every time he gets
Not
shot.
so hard!
Yeah, he's losing, he's dropping pints of blood as he's walking around trying to kill people.
You're actually seeing him struggle now with like taking on 20 guys.
Which is important because there's 100 ninjas around. The old Wolverine would have gone like, I'm just going to like take a nap.
I'm going to go ahead and let you guys shoot all your arrows and get them out of your system.
Now, let me ask you something. See, everything that you're telling me right now, guy who's invincible, ninjas, the Yakuza, and I mean,
right. The 14-year-old and you who just came out of Pacific Rim and loved that is probably more excited to hear all these things.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying everything you're talking to me about, I'm thinking, well, damn, that sounds like a comic book.
Yeah.
But then I'm reading all these other things where people are saying, yeah, but it's really not a comic book.
It's the least comic book of all the X-Men.
And that's actually its strength, I think, more than anything, is that it wants to tell you a more human story. It wants to, as opposed to X-Men Origins Wolverine, which told an origin story in the least convincing fashion possible, the least human fashion possible. This really wants to both humanize him. It wants to understand what he is and what his motivations are. And ultimately, that is the strength. You get this period in the second act where it goes, let's get to know who Wolverine really is, where he is now.
It's a more personal Wolverine story yet, but saying that though, I think my kind of issue with the movie itself is that personal story, which should be like the one, the meaty thing about this movie, seems more like a subplot when you're watching it. Because like you said, we're coming into this story where Wolverine is just trying to save this hot ass Asian chick, from all these unknown forces that we don't know why or what's going on. But, once you get into that story, that's where the movie itself for me starts to become real muddled. You're wondering the whole time, we're like, why are these people after this girl? Is there something special about her? Is there something unique about her? Sure, she's taking over her father's company, but besides just that, why is everyone like going out of their way? Why are they sending 20 guys to capture this chick?
I think I just heard Cyrus make a face.
Mm-hmm.
I did make a face.
Yeah. It didn't make it. I mean, I'm sorry, but yeah, it did.
There is that point, without giving away too much, where they're like, so what is the reasoning? Why is everyone after her? Why do they want to keep her there? And I think they answered it. I know they answered it. It was just like, there was a better way to do this. It seemed like this was a bad plan overall.
Yeah, because when you're looking back now, it seems like all those scenes were there just to have action sequences, And saying that though, there's not a lot of action. I think the second part of this movie, it does really put on the brakes for a while.
Yeah.
And if you're not invested in the story, you're going to be like looking at your clock going, man, I wish Wolverine or I wish something would happen.
They really want to set up those motivations. They want to set up the emotional, resonance between him and Mariko. And that's the whole second act is really about that emotional resonance between him and Mariko. Cause otherwise it's just another tough guy, another girl in danger, whatever. We've seen it a billion times
where's Jason
before.
Statham?
It's not until the third act where they go, all right, well, everybody wants to see a superhero movie. Let's face it, that they actually reveal a lot of that stuff of what's going on. Hey, here's giant robots. Here's a bunch of ninjas.
Here's a big boss battle at the very end.
Battle
But you're going to get that. The funny thing is, I agree 100% with both of you guys. I mean, Coach, you bring up a lot of very valid points.
Oh, Cyrus don't like that.
Well,
No, he's right. I agree.
but
I like hearing that.
I actually agree with most of what he's saying.
Yeah, no, and I probably agree with him more than I do with you, but you also bring some good things. I mean,
all right, I'm loving where this is going. This is better than the movie.
this is one of those
real
movies
drama.
Where there's plenty of good stuff to like if you want to like it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't want to, there's things that to nitpick the shit out of it over. As Co has brought up, there's a lot of points where there's not action. There's a lot of talking, a lot of setting things up. And when it gets to the action, it's really well choreographed. It's just not always well shot. I was like, God damn it. I can see a lot of good stuff going on here. I wish you'd keep your camera still. I wish you knew where to put it.
It got better towards the end.
It did get better towards the end.
A lot better.
But there's like a fight with him on a train, on the outside of a train. That's really badass. That's probably like the best piece to it. But
it's a highlight, yeah.
But there's other points where he's fighting a bunch of ninjas at a funeral. And it's, there's arrows being shot. And you talk about him like, you want to see him cut something. He cuts the fuck out of like so many people. It's not even funny. God damn, man. You need an action director, second unit to film this shit. Cause this is badass if you just knew what you were doing with it.
I kept saying, like, watching that, I was like, okay, remember, they have to keep this PG-13.
Oh, I know. It is one of those things.
So you're watching and you're going, they're doing it by having sound effects, like nasty, grisly sound effects, where he's eviscerating people left and right. They ain't gonna let you see that shit.
Of course. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like those old cartoons where Wolverine would come and tap a ninja on the shoulder and the ninja be like, huh? And he pulls a ninja off screen. You're like,
But the thing is,
he walks back up, he wants being dressed like a ninja.
You see him cut, like, there's no doubt that he sliced out somebody, he disemboweled people and took limbs off left and right.
I will say that there are those points that they at least let it be clear that's what happened. There's none of that, like, G.I. Joe, guys
they don't G.I. Joe
on a plane shit. His claws are covered in blood at points. And yet at other times, it's like, did the CG guys just get fucked up? There's one scene where he gets stabbed with a samurai sword right through the chest, and there's a full-on shot of him pulling this sword out of his chest. Not a drop of blood. Not even one.
Well,
the sword itself is as clean as Martha Stewart did.
And unfortunately, you can't help but just think to yourself the whole time, it's all about that rating. This is why we're seeing these things filmed the way they are.
It does kind of make sense. I mean, when you stab somebody with a sword, doesn't it get wiped clean when you pull it out?
No,
doesn't rub up against your clothes.
No, that does not happen at all.
That doesn't happen? Okay.
I don't know if you ever stabbed anybody.
He's not wearing a shirt at the time.
His mutant power is not bounding the bigger picture up.
Chest hair, maybe? I don't
know. But I mean, saying that, besides just, how they shot that, I don't know. I'm getting a little tired of every superhero movie coming out. You always have to have the one story that they keep running into the ground. And this was another example of, a superhero not wanting to be a superhero anymore. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Just wanting to be a regular guy. But I mean, just for once, I was waiting for Wolverine just to go, look, this whole wanting to be a normal guy, this is stupid because the situations that I get into, I'm getting shot now. Well, this is a really bad idea.
That's the thing I liked about this is that it never makes him into a whiny little bitch in that way. Everyone else is saying, aren't you a whiny little bitch?
Aren't you ready to die?
He's like, no, I'm totally not. Where the fuck did this even come? You guys read too many comic books.
Yeah. Well, I thought he did that. I thought he did that at the very beginning of the film.
No, I got that he was like, look, I'm fucked up. I mean, it's Wolverine. He goes and hides in caves sometimes and hangs out with bears.
He did have his mind wiped a few times,
he likes to go out there and be an animal. It happens. I never thought that they went the emo route.
I think that writing wise, at least dialogue, it just doesn't live up to what it wants to do. It's ambitious. They want to make him like a badass, kind of Clint Eastwood, Mel Gibson type character. And they're almost there, and then they just can't sustain it.
Well, the movie comes off as feeling like an episode of The Hulk. Where I was like, wow, this feels like a long episode of The Wolverine if it was made for TV. They're even playing the sad piano music when Wolverine's wandering the woods. Like, I was surprised he wasn't trying to get hitchhike a ride from a deer or something. I was like, just wandering, just going,
You're so right. I kept thinking
sucks, man. I've had all these adventures, but man, life sucks for me right now.
You're not wrong.
I just want to be like you guys. I just want to hang out, talk about movies.
Well, the problem is that he's got that healing factor, and even Prozac won't stay in his system. It just wipes right out. The healing factor just gets rid of it.
I wonder about that. Like, if he gets a headache, he can't take aspirin.
Nothing.
He just has to deal with it.
Nothing.
Yeah, I like what you say too. I think that's true. They're beating that whole thing into the ground of superheroes not wanting to be superheroes. I mean,
I get it,
but yeah,
they have to be well
old. It was like with the Dark Knight Rises. I was like, goddamn, we come to watch Batman because we want to be Batman, and Batman doesn't even want to be Batman.
Hey now,
No,
calm down.
Batman wants to be Batman. Batman just needs to take a break. I dare Batman and not be Batman for about 3 days before he says, hey.
He spent that whole movie trying to not be Batman.
But you got to remember though, Batman doesn't have any superpowers. He doesn't have the power to heal.
That's a superpower.
He has carpet.
That is a superpower.
Yeah, he's like us.
You tell me being a billionaire is not a superpower?
We could barely run a mile without feeling tired.
And the biggest problem with that is that it's Batman. That's out of character.
Everybody.
For Wolverine, it's a defining characteristic for him to say, will you people please leave me the fuck alone?
Everybody
so here
wants
it works.
Yeah, no, everybody wants to be a superhero and everybody wants that power. The one who, even down to the Hulk, where he says, you know what, this is a curse for me, but I'm gonna keep it for that, for that one motherfucker that makes me mad.
Yeah.
You know, that talks shit to me somewhere. That one night I get into a bar fight and I'm getting my ass whooped.
Yeah, the thing is, Wolverine didn't want to stop having his powers, as opposed to a lot of guys. He just wants everybody to leave him the fuck alone, go hang out with bears and shit.
I want to ask you one question. This is a serious question.
Okay.
This is going to sound like a joke, but is there any significance to Wolverine wearing a tank top all the time?
He just
Because he
likes
looks cool.
wearing tank
Yeah.
tops.
Hey, man,
He looks cool.
He ate a whole chicken and worked out. He wants to show you where that went.
And to be fair, he looks good. He
Hell
does.
yeah. He's
Even though he's
huge.
that point, he's got that thing that slightly older guys start to get and they work out a lot. But whenever they really strain, all the veins bulge up to a point you're like, all right, that's kind of gross. You know, he's kind of got that going on.
He's got the
You got
biggest
a few years
fucking
left.
veins in his biceps.
What else does he got going on, guys? Huh?
I know when you say he got the biggest fucking veins, that's why I was like, where?
Come on, man. You gotta admit that Hugh Jackman is gorgeous. In a manly sort of
I'm
way.
starting to think that it wasn't just Ghost who didn't want to sleep in Corey's bed.
Hey, I'd fuck him.
Well, Corey does wear wife beaters.
Yeah.
I mean, when he wears a shirt at all.
Yeah, you better be glad you didn't sleep in bed with me because I would have been like dreaming and holding on you talking about, hey, bub.
Snicked.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Sometimes the claw slips.
Yeah, there wouldn't have been no claws, you know.
Like when is Corey gonna go through his I don't want to be a superhero phase anymore? I can't wait for that.
No,
to happen.
I love being a superhero co-host. I love being a superhero with you.
Retract your claw, please.
Yeah, for people who don't know, we had to.
Should retract your statement.
Yeah, for people who don't know, co-hosts refuse to sleep in the bed with me
I refuse to sleep in the bed with any man. I'm
at Comic-Con. And you know what? I don't blame you.
Hey, I need my space, man. I'm all about my own space. I'm sorry. Man.
Hey,
my
yeah,
space
that's
to do
what
my
it's about.
business. Hey,
Even
I have
when-
wet dreams too, all right?
Even when that space is
Consider
up
it.
against the floorboards.
I know it. As far away from us as can be. Hey, I needed my space too. And that space is located right underneath you. If I turn you over.
What does this become?
I know, man. I'm messing with you.
Getting raped by Coleman over here. Mr. K. Kuhlman, superhero.
Hey, man, listen, it's hard to tell where this is going because you make it sound really cool.
It's one of those movies that when you're watching it, it has all the trappings of a good superhero movie. It's a personal story. The action is good when it's there. But like I said, it's another movie that suffers from its conclusion when the unraveling of it all, where you honestly stop to think about it and you're like, wait a minute. All that shit doesn't make any kind of sense, really.
I don't actually agree with that, but I do agree that the third act suffers from just flat out going to like, oh my God, it's another superhero movie.
It's the most
ending.
conventional
Where it's
ending
like
for a superhero movie
whereas the
ever.
rest of the film is trying to do something a little different. It's like, okay, let's go back to the big superhero ending we expect. We've seen a billion times before, except in Japan, which does indeed make it a little bit cooler. I think that this is an example of a film where you have to applaud it for trying to get back into character, for trying to address the things that fans have criticized about, that critics have criticized these movies for. Let's see these motivations. Let's see these characters who actually have a reason for doing the things they're doing. Let's see a story that has a little bit more depth to it. But as Leon pointed out, my God, it needed an extra writer to come on there and just kind of fix things up a little bit.
So you know what? You just did your summary. What's your rating?
Oh, my rating is actually a high matinee. I think this could have been great. Once again, it needed one more pass. Maybe it needed a slightly better director. But, you know, like you said, Leon, as well, the first half of the film, the action scenes suffer from that super close up. We don't trust our choreographers to do this right. Not perfect, but a big step up, and I hope that a film that people pay attention to.
Yeah.
If you're going to do these spin-off films from the big films, the little separate films, what's wrong with doing a more intimate thing that's character-based?
It's funny you say the director, because what made me get nervous about this is James Mangold, the guy that did Night and Day.
Yeah.
That Tom Cruise movie
Yeah.
that nobody really liked. But then I found out he did Copland.
Copland, yeah.
310 to Yuma.
Yeah.
He's done plenty
That's
of
the thing.
good
Those movies work because they were more personal stories.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah, and this goes that route to where it almost works. You know, I mean, him being the director for that, but I imagine he's a guy, you know, these movies we named, we love these movies. They didn't make a lot of money. So he probably had no chops for fighting the studio off and what they told him he had to do here and there. But it's also a good decision, where the last movie, Wolverine movie fucked up was like, it didn't have a big budget and yet, so what happens
Didn't have a big budget. I thought it had a huge budget.
Well, if they didn't know how to spend the money, because you remember how like just even the effects sometimes of showing his claws look terrible. Like the scene where he's looking at his claws in the
Look
bathroom.
like rubber.
Yeah, look like the worst CG ever.
Wobble, wobble.
Yeah. But here, you know, it's like, okay, maybe I don't have a lot of money, so I'm gonna focus on a smaller story, keep things more personal. And for the most part, you know, a lot more of it works than what doesn't work. And I give it credit for that. Unlike the last movie where when it's on, I just laugh at it. This one, like, I could watch it again. I mean, I'm not gonna run out and go see it now. When it comes on, you know, Blu-ray, I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. I give it a low matinee.
All right.
Yeah, I'm with you guys even though we don't see eye to eye on some things, I think the general idea about what this movie is trying to do, I think we can all agree that, you know, it definitely did its job as far as, you know, when it was working, it was really paying attention to a lot of character motivation. But at the same time, you know, that ending, that third act really did go into a cliche route of what you expect with even the most mediocre superhero films. Please stay for the stinger. The stinger that is how you do a stinger. I mean, even Marvel needs to take a note on how you make a proper stinger to where you can get somebody anticipating a follow-up film. With this, I was like, wow, that's the information I got in that stinger seemed far more interesting and far more compelling to me about the Wolverine story than the whole movie itself did, you know, after the fact. Saying that though, it was still enjoyable, and I'd give it a matinee.
I will say this, the one scene, because every action movie like this needs that one action scene that makes you go, that's the one you talk about. And this does in fact have it. It's got the scene on top of Japanese bullet train, that 300 mile per hour train with Wolverine, a bunch of guys fighting on top of it. That really does make you go,
it's pretty badass.
Oh my God, that was amazing. But it's sad that like that's not even halfway through the film, and that's the best action scene in the whole movie.
They put the climax in the middle of the movie.
Kind of did, yeah.
It's almost like a porno film. In that sense.
Yeah. So what you're telling people is after that train scene, you can leave. You go.
Come back for the stinger.
Oh, go,
Go home and then come back, get a sandwich, and get your ass back.
I was going to say, go take a shit. You know, you've been holding this whole time.
Yeah.
Come back for the stinger.
That's a long shit. You need to go see the doctor if you.
We will accept your surrender with respect. Is that all the men you brought? Your grandfather called me a Ronin. Samurai without a master. Who has no reason to live.
Was he right?